Welcome back, everyone, to The Deep Dive. Today we're going to be,
Oh, this is going to be good.
yeah, we're cracking open Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power,
Oh, yes.
a book that is basically, like a master class in strategy,
Yeah.
taken straight out of the playbook of history's most cunning figures.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not just dusting off old stories. We're digging into how these laws are still surprisingly relevant today.
Right.
Whether you're navigating your workplace,
Oh, yeah.
trying to decode the latest headlines, or just looking to up your game in, like everyday interactions.
Hmm.
Ever feel like you're stuck playing checkers
Oh.
while everyone else is playing chess? The
Yeah.
48 Laws might just give you that strategic edge you've been looking for.
That's right. It's more than like a historical text. It's a guide to understanding the timeless principles
Right.
of power dynamics
Yeah.
that still kind of govern human behavior.
Yeah.
It's what's fascinating is how these laws can be applied to our lives today in ways you might not expect.
Okay, so let's dive into a few that really stood out to me. Law 1,
Okay.
never outshine the master. This one feels like it could save you from some serious awkwardness in the workplace.
Oh, tell me more.
Like,
Huh?
imagine accidentally making your boss feel threatened just by being good at your job.
Oh, yeah. That's a no-no.
Right.
Yeah. Sounds counterintuitive, but Green's point is that making your superiors feel insecure is like a surefire way to sabotage your own success. Power dynamics are often about perception.
Well,
And even if your intentions are good, coming across as too competent can backfire.
so it's not just about being good, it's about being smart about how you showcase your skills.
Exactly. Think of it like this. You're not trying to dim your own light, but you're strategically directing it so everyone benefits.
Right.
A skilled player knows how to highlight their achievements in a way that complements their superiors, making them look good in the process.
Oh, well.
It's about making your boss feel valued and appreciated, not threatened.
Okay, so how do you actually put this into practice? Let's say you just crushed a project.
Yeah.
And you're excited to share the results with your boss.
Well, instead of just presenting the facts and figures, frame your success in a way that acknowledges your boss's contributions.
Oh,
For example, you could say, thanks to your guidance and support, I was able to exceed expectations on this project. This subtle shift in language
okay.
not only highlights your competence, but also makes your boss feel like they played a key role in your success.
That's brilliant.
It is.
It's like you're saying, we're in this together,
Right.
rather than,
Yes.
look what I did all by myself.
Exactly.
That idea of strategically using visibility
Yes.
reminds me of Law 6, which is all about courting attention.
Absolutely. Court attention at all costs. This one feels incredibly relevant in our age of social media and personal branding.
Right, and we see this play out constantly. Think about some of the most successful, albeit controversial, figures out there. They've managed to turn even negative attention into a platform.
Green argues that visibility often equates to power, even if that attention isn't always positive. It's a risky game, for sure. But the underlying principle is that standing out from the crowd, even in a negative light, can be more advantageous than being ignored altogether.
So is the message here to just create drama for drama's sake?
Not exactly. The key is to court attention in a way that aligns with your goals and values.
Right.
If you're seeking notoriety for all the wrong reasons, it can backfire spectacularly. The most effective players of this law are the ones who can generate buzz while still maintaining a degree of control over their narrative.
So it's like walking a tightrope between grabbing the spotlight
Yes.
and making sure you're not in the spotlight for the wrong reasons.
Precisely. You need to be strategic about the kind of attention you're attracting and the message you're sending.
Okay, I'm seeing a theme here.
Yeah.
It's not just about the what, it's about the how.
Yes.
Now, shifting gears to a law that feels a bit more intense, let's talk about Law 15. Crush your enemy. Totally. I mean, just the name sounds like something out of a movie.
This one is definitely one of the more aggressive laws, but it has some fascinating implications, particularly in the cutthroat world of business.
Right. When you think about a company like Amazon, their strategy seems to be straight out of Green's playbook. They haven't just beaten competitors, they've built an empire.
Right.
Is that the only way to win in today's business landscape?
Well, Green's point is that leaving even a sliver of opportunity for a rival to recover and retaliate is asking for trouble.
Mm.
It's a high-risk, high-reward approach.
Okay.
Dominating a market can bring huge profits, but it can also lead to ethical questions and potential pushback from regulators.
So it's not enough to just win. You have to win decisively, leaving no room for a comeback.
In a sense, yes. It's about establishing a position of such overwhelming dominance that your rivals are effectively neutralized. Think of it like a castle building a moat. A good moat makes it almost impossible for enemies to attack.
I see. So crushing your enemy isn't about being cruel.
Right.
It's about being strategic to the point where competition becomes irrelevant.
Exactly. It's about creating a strategic advantage
Yeah.
so strong that the idea of competition becomes almost unthinkable.
Hmm.
Now, of course, this doesn't mean going around crushing everyone in your path.
Right?
But it does highlight the importance of being decisive and strategic in your actions.
Okay, so maybe crush is a strong word. But the principle makes sense. You have to protect your position, build that moat, make sure you're playing the long game.
Right.
Speaking of playing the long game, let's move on to Law 27. Play on people's need to believe to create a cult-like following. This feels incredibly relevant in today's world, where building a dedicated audience is essential for any brand or individual.
This law is all about understanding that people are drawn to belief systems and communities that offer a sense of belonging and purpose. Think about brands like Apple or Tesla. They've managed to cultivate incredibly devoted followings, almost cult-like in their medication. Their customers aren't just buying products, they're buying into a vision, a way of life.
It's like they've tapped into something deeper than just consumerism.
Yeah.
It's about belonging to a tribe, being part of something bigger than yourself.
Exactly. These brands have mastered the art of storytelling, creating narratives that resonate with their target audience's deepest desires and aspirations.
Okay.
They're selling a sense of identity, a community, a feeling of being part of something special.
So it's not just about the product itself. It's about the story that surrounds it, the emotions it evokes. Speaking of emotions, I think Law 32, play to people's fantasies, takes this idea a step further. It's like marketing 101, right?
Absolutely. This law recognizes that people are often more motivated by their desires and aspirations than by cold, hard facts. Think about those aspirational commercials for luxury cars or exotic vacations.
Yeah.
They're not selling you just a car or a trip. They're selling you a fantasy, a vision of a more glamorous and fulfilling life.
Right. It's like they're tapping into our desire for status, adventure, romance, whatever it is that makes us feel alive.
And the more effectively they can paint that picture, the more persuasive their message becomes. A master of this law understands the psychology of their audience, their hopes and dreams, and then crafts a narrative that speaks directly to those desires.
Okay. So we've talked about grabbing attention and tapping into emotions, but what about the flip side? What about protecting yourself in this game of power? That's where Law 3, conceal your intentions, comes in, right?
Exactly. This law is all about being strategic with the information you reveal, keeping your true motives shrouded in a bit of mystery. If your opponents can't anticipate your next move, they're at a disadvantage.
It's kind of like playing poker. You don't want to show your hand too early. But are we talking about being deliberately secretive or just being mindful of what we share?
It's more about being intentional and selective. Think of it like this. Every piece of information you reveal is a potential weapon for your opponent. So you need to be judicious about what you share and when.
So in a negotiation, for example, you might hold back certain key pieces of information until the right moment, maximizing your leverage.
Precisely. Or in a competitive business environment, you wouldn't want to tip off your rivals about your next big product launch or strategic move.
I feel like this law is especially relevant in the age of social media, where we're constantly bombarded with information and often share way more than we realize. It's a good reminder to be discerning about what we consume and what we reveal about ourselves.
Absolutely. Information is power, and controlling the flow of information can give you a significant advantage.
That makes me think of another law focused on self-preservation. Law 5. So much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. It feels like in today's world, with the rise of social media and the internet, your reputation can be made or broken in an instant.
It's true. Your reputation is your most valuable asset. It's the foundation upon which you build trust, credibility, and influence. And with the internet, a single misstep, a careless comment, or a poorly timed photo can have far-reaching consequences.
So it's not just about being a good person. It's about actively managing your public image, being aware of how your actions are perceived by others. It's almost like everyone needs a personal PR team, even if you're not a celebrity or a politician.
In a way, yes. We all need to be more conscious of our personal brand, understanding that our reputation is a constantly evolving entity that needs to be nurtured and protected.
All right, so we've talked about concealing your intentions and guarding your reputation. Now let's dive into a law that feels a bit more strategic, shall we say. Law 14, pose as a friend, work as a spy. Sounds a little sneaky, but isn't this just another form of being observant?
Absolutely. This law emphasizes the importance of gathering information, being observant, and discerning in your interactions with others. Knowledge is power, and the more you know about your rivals, your colleagues, or even your friends, the better equipped you are to navigate those relationships effectively.
So we're not talking about being deceptive or manipulative, but rather being perceptive and insightful.
Exactly. It's about paying attention to the subtle cues, the unspoken dynamics, the things that people reveal, both intentionally and unintentionally.
This could be as simple as observing someone's body language in a meeting, noticing the patterns in their communication, or even just paying attention to the company they keep.
Right. And it's not about using this information to harm others, but rather to protect your own interests and make more informed decisions.
Okay, I'm starting to see a pattern here. A lot of these laws are about being observant, perceptive, and understanding the subtle dynamics of human interaction. It's almost like the 48 Laws of Power is a crash course in social intelligence.
That's a great observation. It's about understanding how people think, what motivates them, and how to influence their behavior.
And those are skills that are relevant in any era, whether you're a ruler vying for territory or a modern professional climbing the corporate ladder. Speaking of which, let's talk about Law 41. Avoid stepping into a great man's shoes. It feels especially relevant in today's world of rapid innovation and disruption, where everyone's trying to find their unique path.
This law is all about forging your own path, creating your own legacy, rather than trying to imitate the successes of others. It's easy to fall into the trap of trying to emulate those who have come before us, especially those we admire. But Green suggests that this can be a recipe for mediocrity.
So it's not about disrespecting those who have paved the way, but rather recognizing that your own unique talents and perspective have value. It's like, why try to fit into someone else's mold when you can create your own?
Exactly. When you try to fit into someone else's mold, you limit your own potential. You're essentially playing a game that's already been won. True power comes from innovation, from breaking new ground and creating something truly original.
I love this idea of embracing your own uniqueness as a source of power. It's a refreshing perspective in a world that often pressures us to conform. Okay, let's shift gears to a law that has some interesting implications for leadership. Law 42, strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. It sounds a little ruthless, but isn't this just another way of saying that leadership matters?
In a way, yes. This law is about understanding the dynamics of group behavior and the importance of identifying and targeting key influencers. Green's point is that if you want to disrupt a group, an organization, or even a movement, you need to focus your attention on the leader, the shepherd who guides the flock.
Because if you remove the leader, the followers will often lose their sense of direction and purpose.
Precisely. It's like cutting the head off a snake. The body may still thrash around for a while, but it's no longer a threat.
Now, obviously, we're not advocating for violence or aggression here, but this law can be applied in more strategic ways.
Absolutely. It's about understanding that in any complex system, there are key nodes of influence. And if you can identify and influence those nodes, you can have a disproportionate impact on the entire system.
So in a business context, this could mean identifying the key decision makers, the thought leaders or the influencers who shape the direction of the company.
Right. Or in a political campaign, it might mean targeting your opponent's key supporters or donors.
It's about understanding the levers of power and knowing where to apply pressure to achieve your desired outcome.
Exactly. And while this law can certainly be used for manipulative purposes, it can also be applied in more ethical ways, such as identifying and empowering positive leaders who can inspire and motivate others.
All right, let's wrap up this section with a law that feels particularly relevant in our increasingly interconnected and globalized world, Law 19. Know who you're dealing with. Do not offend the wrong person. It seems like common sense, but it's amazing how often people misjudge others, leading to misunderstandings, conflicts, and missed opportunities.
It's true. We live in a world where people come from diverse backgrounds with different values, beliefs, and ways of communicating. And what might be considered polite or appropriate in one culture could be seen as offensive or disrespectful in another.
So it's crucial to be sensitive to those differences, to do your homework, and to approach interactions with a healthy dose of humility and respect.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that everyone has their own story, their own experiences that have shaped their worldview. And the more we can understand those stories, the more effectively we can navigate the complexities of human relationships.
This means being aware of your own biases, being willing to listen and learn from others, and being careful not to make assumptions based on your own limited perspective.
Right. It's about cultivating a sense of empathy and understanding, recognizing that building strong relationships requires sensitivity and respect.
So in a practical sense, this could mean doing some research before meeting with someone from a different culture. Being mindful of your communication style, and being willing to apologize if you unintentionally offend someone.
Absolutely. It's about understanding the nuances of different cultures, personalities, and power dynamics and adapting your approach accordingly.
I'm seeing a theme here. A lot of these laws boil down to being observant, perceptive, and really understanding the subtle dynamics of human interaction.
You're absolutely right. You could say that the 48 Laws of Power is a masterclass in social intelligence. It's about decoding human behavior, recognizing patterns, and understanding how to navigate complex social situations.
And that's a skill set that's valuable no matter what your goals are or what field you're in. We've covered a lot of ground, but there are a few more laws I want to touch on before we wrap up.
Yeah, it has been quite a tour through some of Green's most insightful laws. It's amazing how these principles from history can still feel so relevant today.
Okay, so one that I always find myself thinking about is Law 4. Always say less than necessary.
Mm.
I mean, in a world of information overload, it feels like the power of brevity is often overlooked.
It's true. In a world where everyone's shouting for attention, sometimes the most powerful move is to whisper. When you're concise and to the point, people tend to pay more attention. It can also make you seem more mysterious and intriguing.
Right, it's like that classic line, less is more. Speaking of getting the most out of limited resources, what about Law 7? Get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit. Now, that one always makes me raise an eyebrow.
Ah, yes, the art of delegation. It's a crucial skill for any leader, but as you mentioned, there's a delicate balance to strike here. It's not about exploiting others or taking credit for work you didn't do.
Right.
It's about leveraging the talents of your team and ensuring that everyone is working towards a common goal.
The key word there is team. A good leader knows how to inspire their team to do their best work and then make sure that everyone shares in the success. It's about amplifying the contributions of others, not diminishing them.
Exactly. A true leader understands that their success is intertwined with the success of their team. And that's where the taking credit part becomes tricky. It's not about claiming all the glory for yourself, but rather about effectively communicating the team's achievements to the wider world.
Okay, one final law I want to touch on before we wrap up. Law 30. Make your accomplishments seem effortless. It's like that saying, don't let them see you sweat.
Yeah.
It's all about the art of presentation.
This law highlights the power of perception. People are often more impressed by results than by the effort it took to achieve them. There's a certain elegance and grace that comes with making something difficult look easy.
Think about those amazing athletes or performers who make their craft look so effortless. You know, they put in countless hours of practice and training, but they make it look like second nature.
Precisely. And it's not about being deceptive. It's about presenting your best self, your most polished work, in a way that inspires confidence and admiration. It's about mastering your craft to the point where it seems like an extension of who you are.
Well, I feel like we've just scratched the surface of the 48 Laws of Power today. It's a book that you can revisit again and again and always find some new insight or strategy that you can apply to your life.
Absolutely. And one of the key takeaways from the 48 Laws of Power is that power is a tool. It can be used for good or for evil, for personal gain, or for the benefit of others. It all depends on the intentions of the person wielding it.
These laws are like a set of keys. They can unlock doors to incredible opportunities, but it's up to us to use them wisely and ethically. We need to be mindful of the potential consequences of our actions, even when we're operating in the realm of power and strategy.
Because ultimately, true power isn't just about getting what you want. It's about using your influence to make a positive impact on the world.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the 48 Laws of Power, think about a time when you witnessed someone successfully, or maybe unsuccessfully, using one of these laws. What was the outcome? What does that tell you about the dynamics of power in that particular situation? We encourage you to continue exploring the 48 Laws of Power on your own if you want to learn more about these fascinating strategies. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.